Hey everybody, it's May 3rd, 2020. Shot a nice video earlier this morning where I wanted to update my four package hive experiment with 1.5 pounds in each hive. And apparently I spent half an hour talking to myself again. My battery died on my transmitter, so there's absolutely no audio on any of it. That's the problem with working so much. I just forgot that I didn't charge it, so I apologize for that. But I'm gonna voice over the inspection after I edit it, cut it down a bit for you. Couple of things, good things. Number one, I have a laying queen in every single colony. All four. This hive, and this hive all have larvae, 3-day-old larvae. So it looks like they might have started. They might have started laying somewhere around Thursday, maybe Wednesday-ish. Friday I did an inspection on these hives and I couldn't spot anything, but it's such a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous day today, except for the heavy wind. I came out here and did the inspection, and I mean, each hive has at least a full, both sides of a frame and a half of another frame full of eggs and larvae, which is absolutely fantastic. This hive here, for whatever reason, it's got fewer bees, and the queen, I only found eggs, so I didn't find any larvae in that. So the queen is laying, but slower than the other two. I had a problem here with this one. I had put pollen patty on, and I had a different inner cover on. It was a whole inner cover. It didn't have a gap in it, 3/8 inch gap, and the pollen patties made it hump a little bit on each one, and so that left the bees to be able to go in and out on each one. And so I think maybe some of these bees ended up over here for whatever, for whatever reason, right at the start when I did it. And that's why I think this one has less bees in it. Regardless, really happy with the production. Surprise in this hive right here. At least I think it's a surprise. I pulled a frame, first frame out, and I found a queen on it. Fantastic. I set that frame in, pulled the next frame out, found a queen on it. So either I have two queens or that one queen jumped to the second frame very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. And I'm thinking that the package might have already come with a queen in it. When they shake all those bees in those packages, sometimes queens get thrown in by mistake. And I think that colony has two queens in it. So we'll see. If it does have two queens, what I'll end up doing is I'll let them, they're obviously working together, so and they're laying and whatnot. So I'll let them continue. I'll go in, I'll mark one, and then if I find the other one, I'll take it out and I'll create another colony with that queen. Take a frame of brood and a queen and let her produce her own colony. So if that's the case. But that was a neat little surprise there. If that's the case, either that or, like I said, she jumped from frame to frame very, very, very quickly, and you'll see in the video what I'm talking about. Other than that, that's it. This is day 7 for these packages, and I already got, like I said, 3-4-day-old larvae in 3 of them. So all the queens are doing very, very wonderful. I went through all my colonies here at the home yard today. I gave my weak colony another boost. Gave it a frame of cap brood and nurse bees from my nuke colony over there, which is doing very, very well. So, and then I fed all my colonies again. I'm just keeping syrup on them for now because we get these stretches where it gets really, really cold or rainy, and they can't get out. And I just want to keep them producing brood. I don't want them to store too much, but I do want them to consume it and build comb and produce brood. I don't want them to slow down the brood rearing. Not for these colonies here. These are my resource bees. I also shot a short video, which I'll also show you on this video. The audio didn't run out on that. Phase 1 of my timing box. Got an update on that. And then I also did this. Here, I'll show you over here. So yeah, right behind me over here, I installed a swarm trap. Well, actually, it's all it is a 4/4 nucleus colony. Double, you know, I got 2 boxes, and that should make for a nice little swarm trap. You know, I'm going to put one here in this yard, and I'll put one at the farm too. A hawk just flew right through. I don't often see many swarms, but I'm working so much that if one of my hives swarms, I want to be able to catch it and house it where I don't have to get to it right away. So this gives me a best opportunity. If one hive does swarm, hopefully it'll go into this box, and then I can take my sweet time collecting the bees instead of, you know, missing it because they're just hanging in a tree for a day before they take off and go somewhere else. So, you know, when you work all the time and you don't have the time to take care of your bees like you may have in the past, you maybe like me got a different job or whatever, and that's just the best option for you. So that's my projects for today. Watch the video. Like I said, I'm going to do a voiceover on it, and I realize it's not anywhere near as good as you know, hearing it in real time, especially the surprises that you run into. But I'll do my best to narrate it. So if you remember a week ago, I took 2 packages and I split each package across a 2 4-frame nuke boxes, well, 4/4 nuke boxes, and to make a total of 4 colonies. And then I added an extra queen to each of the queenless sides. And it's exactly 7 days later, and I am going in and checking on the progress. The queens had been released as of Friday. I went in and took a look, so I knew I had 4 queens that were released. So right now, what I want to do is check and see about egg laying. Now, I won't see any capped brood, obviously, at all, but we're going to look for eggs. We're going to look for larvae. And I just labeled the hives essentially 1, 2, 3, and 4. You know, it's on these on these hives, the outside frames, the bees really didn't do a whole lot to them. It's the inner 2 frames that they pretty much stuck to most of the time. And right now I'm just pulling the frames and assessing, you know, whether they're you know, storing some syrup, whether they're bringing in enough pollen. Now the pollen patty that I did pull was chewed on just a little bit, but this frame, if you can see real close there, is absolutely loaded with 3 and 4 day old larvae. Sorry, the frame is getting out of focus a little bit there, but I don't have the best camera for close-ups, but very, very good frame, very loaded up. So the queen is going to town, and she has done essentially both sides of this frame are completely full. At least, the center basketball target of each frame is full of larvae, starting from the middle and expanding out. It will be the largest and oldest, expanding out to. Well, there's no eggs that I found on this frame, but the next frame over, I did find eggs on. So she is really, really, really going to town, which is great to see. Um, they haven't started making comb on the very outside of this frame, but on one side of it, it was absolutely loaded with eggs. That's what I'm seeing on this frame. For 7 days after install, I'm rating this as an A. As far as I mean, it took them probably 2 days to release the queen, and then she had then it needs a couple of days to plump up and whatnot. So um, yeah, I'm gonna point out where the queen is. There she is, running around the frame. She's on this frame laying eggs. Like I said, this frame was completely laid up with eggs. So extremely happy with the progress that they've made. Uh, 2 days, like I said, 2 days to release them, 2 days to get her plumped up and then start laying. Um, Obviously, these are there was emerged brood, so at least she's been laying for at least 3 to 4 days. So really, really nice pattern, very, very solid pattern, and they're bringing in lots of pollen. This colony didn't chew on the pollen patty too much, um, but the adjoining colony here that I'm about to take a look at had a little bit different story to it, and we'll get into this in a minute. This pollen patty was completely chewed up, probably about, I'd say 75% gone. They had gotten into the patty. And for this one, the outside frames were the ones that had the most activity. Sorry, while I narrate this, I'm having a beer, so just bear with me. Very, very, very calm bees here. And there I located my queen. There she is running around. You can see her running there. So she was on the outside frame. This frame was totally full of larvae. Uh, Extremely pleased. It was both sides of the frame were absolutely completely loaded, and there was nectar to the outside. Um, Not a ton of pollen on this one, but there was pollen on this frame as well. Bees are bringing in just dandelion. I mean, you name it, every kind of tree flower out there, they're bringing it in, which is really nice. And again, here's another frame that I pulled, finding it, full of larvae. Very, very excited. And I'm actually kind of looking. They haven't built a ton of comb here, but now here's the biggest surprise. If you can look right there,
that is a queen running around right there. And so this colony has two queens working this hive. Either that, or when I set the first frame in, she literally had to jump to the next frame. Um, Now I'm going to speed things up because I'm just going through, but this one is also full of eggs right there. Lots and lots of pollen in there that they're bringing in. So uh, very, very good active hive. So again, giving this one an A as far as how the bees are progressing on it. It won't be 21 days. I have no doubt this queen, well, this colony, if I have two working queens, they'll have 8 frames laid up in no time whatsoever of full of brood. So if I do really have two queens in there, um, I'm going to reassess it in a week, and then maybe pull a queen and some brood out and start another colony with it if that is the case. I'm going to go in. I didn't want to mark the queens today. They're unmarked, but I wanted them to lay for a while before I did anything. But I'm going to mark a queen in that colony and then look for another queen just to make sure that there really is indeed two queens. Then I'll pull a queen out, start a new colony with it. So yeah, one of the things that I'm doing here, I usually wear 1.5 reading glasses, but for this spotting eggs and spotting larvae, I switched to a 3-power set of glasses. And again, this colony right here, chewed up the pollen panty really, really well. Now this colony didn't have near the amount of bees that the other colonies did, and that was probably a mistake that I made. I had a flat style inner cover on there, and when I put pollen patties on, it actually left a hump, which allowed the bees actually to kind of like uh, get into one side or the other, and that was right when I installed the bees in the hive boxes, and I'm going to guess that a lot of them migrated over to the other side when they had that access. Now there is a queen on each side, so the queens didn't migrate, but the bees did. So that's why I'm thinking that this side probably doesn't have the numbers that the other side does. I think the other side got the majority of it, of the bees. So we might have to even things out after things get going a little bit. But this hive was a little different than the rest of the hives in that there were bees down in the bottom box, where in the other hives they were pretty much all in the uppers. It's really strange to go from hive to hive and notice the differences in fairly equal, hives installed all at the same time. All of them are taking down sugar syrup. I had replaced all the sugar syrup jars this morning. They were all empty, and I had installed sugar syrup. I've replaced the jars twice so far, so they're really sucking down the 1-to-1 sugar. And there's my queen running around there. Nice queen, doing a good job. This colony was the only one. It was because I think I had it was a weaker colony. This one only had eggs. It had no larvae. So the queen has literally just started laying, maybe between Friday and today. Today was Sunday, so everything was still in eggs. There was absolutely no larvae in this colony, but there was a big patch of eggs in this colony. Is it because it is a weaker colony? I'm going to guess that could play a role in that as to the late start compared to the 3 other colonies. I'm really looking hard for for some activity, but it really, I think it was just one frame of eggs. There wasn't much in any of the other frames. All four of these colonies, the bees were extremely calm, not jittery at all on the comb. So I'm very pleased. These are all supposed, you never know, but Carniolan Minnesota Hygienics. All four of these packages. The Italian Minnesota Hygienics that I got last year, those are really jittery colonies, and they will sting you at the drop of a hat. But I'm able to work this hive. I didn't even need a veil. They were extremely calm, and it is extremely windy out, so I was really surprised that they were not very jittery, but they were loath to get off of or to move off of the eggs, wanting to keep it warm. So I'm gonna unbuckle it and just take a look down below on this colony, because the bees were down below, and see, what are the bees doing down there exactly. The rest of the colonies were not working the lower frames, but this colony was, for whatever reason, even with the lower numbers, still had bees down below working it. And there I had, for whatever reason, the bees decided to start building comb on my foundationless frame. No eggs in it, but they are building comb. And that's a foundationless frame from last year that they're on. And it has some older honey on it, you can see. And that might be why they're down there, is because it's got honey on it. I do not know. But the queen hasn't been down there yet, so there was really nothing to see. I'm waiting a bit before I put any mite treatments on this. I might actually just vape these colonies with oxalic acid here in the next, maybe tomorrow. I'm going to vape these colonies, and that way I don't have to put the apivar strips in this colony. I'll just vape it, because the queens have started laying, so I didn't want to do anything to disturb it, but it's a good time to do it before anything is capped. I can get all the mites out, or at least 99% of them. Now this colony, again, you see there's way more bees in this side than the other side, and I think there was something to what I was saying earlier about the gap that allowed bees to kind of like migrate from one side to the other. This side might have had the original queen that came with the package on this side. I do not remember, to be honest, and that's why the bees, migrated over to that side. I wish I hadn't done that, or I wish that hadn't happened. It was a bad design. The guy I bought it from, I don't know why he had a inner cover, and the bottom side of the inner cover was flat, so you can't put like any pollen patties down without it humping up. I mean, I like that 3/8 of an inch on both sides of an inner cover. So this one's got really good larvae, lots of larvae in it. but also, as you can tell, lots more bees. All I'm doing now is trying to spot the queen. Oh, and I'm actually just showing you right now. I think this is a pollen frame. I wanted to show you all the diverse pollen in it that they were bringing in. That's what I was looking at. Really, that was really impressive pollen frame. There was a larvae to the outside of that pollen in the middle, which was really strange. And this one just has a lot of stored honey and pollen. They're in no danger of starving out, that's for sure. So another good colony. Give that one an A as well. The outside frames were the ones that had the larvae on it, most of it.
So take care, happy beekeeping, and remember, all beekeeping is local. Stay safe.